Hello, friends. My name is Michelle Fondin, and I'm the author of Help! I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. And welcome back to our video forum on alcoholism and addiction. Today, we're going to talk about how to micromanage yourself versus micromanaging the alcoholic in your life. This is super important to me because it kind of came to me in stark reality really recently. Now, going through the 12 steps, going through the al-anon program, deep reflection, separation from my alcoholic, all of that has contributed toward this topic. But there have been some recent events in my life and the life of my alcoholic loved one that has led me to produce this video for you, because I figured that if I'm struggling with this, that you might be struggling with it too. So here's the thing. We spend our lives with the alcoholic trying to micromanage his or her life. And if you're in denial, you know that you do this. Just be truthful to yourself. You try to tell him or her like what to do, how to dress, how to drink, how not to drink, what to drink, everything. How to behave. We tend to go through our lives with our alcoholic loved ones, micromanaging absolutely everything down to the last detail of how they're supposed to be. I found myself doing this with my alcoholic loved one because I wanted him so desperately to change, and I wanted for him so desperately to stop drinking and drugging and get a handle on his life. And I felt that I knew best. And in some respects, I do know best, but I just don't know best for him in his life at this specific time. You see, when we micromanage, we tend to play God, and we pretend that we are God because we say, hey, I know what's best for you. I know the path you're supposed to be on, and I know the path for your life, and I know every last detail in every last second of your day and how it should go. That can be super annoying for anybody to endure. It doesn't matter if your loved one is an alcoholic or not an alcoholic. If anyone does that to you or anybody else that you love, you would say to them, stop being so darn controlling. Stop trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life. But that's exactly what we do. So the story that just came to me was my alcoholic loved one stopped working as a bartender in a high-end restaurant last January in 2017. I had been asking him to stop working there and to go into a rehab facility that we had really discussed over the course of like 2 years prior to that. This has been an ongoing discussion between us. And he kind of got laid off / fired in January 2017. It really isn't clear as to what exactly happened. There was something that happened surrounding his alcoholism, his drug use, and calling in sick. Like there was something surrounding that happened. As a result, he ended up moving in with me, going to AA twice a day, and getting resentful that I was making him be in recovery, even though he came of his own volition and it was his own choice. Then several months later, he decided that he didn't want to attend meetings anymore and he moved out. But over the course of that time, he had been contemplating getting back on the recovery wagon, but had never really taken the steps to do that. Fast forward to January 2018, where we are right now, today. And my alcoholic loved one has been without work for a year or close to a year. And he just now found a job as a server and bartender for a different establishment. Now, it's not in the same scenario as the one he had had before. However, it's still in the beverage and food service industry that does involve alcohol. I was really inclined to say something and to dictate to him that this was not the right life path for him, when all of my training and step work and reading really led me to, and guidance from God, of course, my higher power, led me to say, you know, I don't know enough to say that this is the wrong path for him, because I am not the creator of his life. I'm not his creator, and I am not the creator of the entire universe. So how do I know that this is not the right life path for him? I don't want it to be his life path, but I don't know if it's in his best interest or not. I just don't. Because we don't know how alcoholics and addicts get to recovery. We just don't have any clue. Sometimes it happens all alone with an epiphany. Sometimes it's a DUI. Sometimes it's incarceration. Sometimes it's a hospitalization. We just don't know exactly what that aha moment or that click or that light bulb going on. We're not in their bodies. We don't know exactly what happened at a particular moment in time. I always believed that it would happen in a certain way. But who knows? Maybe God has other plans for him, and I could mess up those plans if I try to intervene in the choices that he's made in his life. So I've made the decision to stop trying to micromanage his life, even by making negative comments. Like, there's absolutely no reason why I need to make negative comments to him about anything. You know, it can be so incredibly tempting to make negative comments when you find out, well, he's been drinking again, or he switched from vodka to beer, which was something that my alcoholic loved one recently told me. So how do I know what's good for him? I really don't. And another thing is that it takes away from managing and micromanaging my own life, which I really should be doing and I need to do. I really need to focus on myself and focus on me, my own healing, my career, my writing, my videos with you guys, my friends, my family. There are a billion things I could be worrying about or not worrying about because I'm doing them, right? So if it's my finances, if I'm really concerned about my finances, well, then I figure out creative ways to work more, right? Get more clients, teach more classes, write more books. There are so many ways that I can creatively make my life better. But when we're focused on somebody else, our work doesn't get done. Our life does not happen. So I have another story that happened really recently. This is a true story of my mother, who in some of the videos I've talked about her and my upbringing in this tumultuous, dysfunctional upbringing. I love my mom. She's great, really supportive of my work, really supportive of what I do. I believe she suffers from generalized anxiety disorder, probably always had in her life, an obsessive compulsive disorder, but it's been undiagnosed. She won't go to a doctor for this sort of things. She worries about everything. She warns us about everything under the sun, every single news story, every single weather report. She's constantly worrying about something. And she's constantly trying to tell us, my sister and I, and my kids, her grandkids, she's trying to tell us all how to live our lives. So she's micromanaging. She's always constantly micromanaging, completely micromanaging. And this is through text, phone, email, it goes on and on and on and on. And of course, every single one of us is completely annoyed each time she does this. Well, recently, during this big winter freeze, her heat stopped working. She lives in Michigan, extremely cold climate. She has a house that's stuffed with stuff. It's a smaller house, older house, but her heat stops working and she's 71. And she makes the decision to sit in her house until the electric company can come in and replace her heater. Now, she said the temperature in her house is about 54 degrees, but I'm sure at moments during the night, it dropped down to well below 54 degrees. I don't understand how someone would want to subject themselves to that kind of cold, especially in your older years, in your elderly years, but also just like common sense. Like, why would you want to subject yourself to the cold? So I struggled with two things on that front. The first thing was, and I knew that if I told her to do anything, she just wouldn't listen to me. But on the second hand, I was a little bit concerned because I said, well, if I don't say something, she's older, that, I might feel guilty if something does happen to her. So, I just said, hey, you know what, maybe you should check yourself into a hotel. But she refused, and then I think it was 3 days later, the electric company finally got around to her and installed the heater. So she stayed in her home for 3 days with no heat in Michigan in sub-zero temperatures. It made me think about this principle of micromanaging your own life versus micromanaging somebody else's life. So my mom spent so much time micromanaging other people because she's busy watching weather reports, news reports, like not really reality TV shows, but reality news shows where, oh my gosh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and all of this. She spent so much of her time consumed with that, reading Facebook posts, writing Facebook posts, and sending out emails to us and all that. So much time micromanaging other people that she doesn't really have time to micromanage and take care of herself. And so that was a stark dose of reality, like right in the face. It was like, oh my God, this is where I get it. This is where I have learned from her to behave in this way. And I just, right then and there, I said, you know what, I don't want to behave this way. I don't want to do that. I want to take care of me first and take care of my life. And it's really hard to do. So here's your homework. Every time you think about your alcoholic loved one or get angry or upset or negative about what he or she is doing or not doing, every time you get a thought like that, any thought whatsoever, just send them love. Like imagine little hearts going around that thought, like little, just little red, pink hearts. Valentine's Day is coming up soon. Just imagine little hearts around that thought, sending them love, and then redirect your focus on something that you need to work on in your life. Every single solitary time. If you start to have a negative thought about your alcoholic loved one, refocus it on your energy. What do you need to work on for you? What positive thought can you have about yourself? What positive thought could you even have about your alcoholic loved one just to send them joy and happiness versus anger, frustration, negativity? Because I know this out of experience. I know that I do this. I know that I calculate in advance what he should be thinking, doing, feeling, and how things should go down for him because I've wanted him to get well for so long. So I know the thoughts go in that direction, but what I've made the conscious decision to do is to stop that thought flow, refocus it back on myself. And so I've been actually practicing this for about, 2 months now. And this recent development with his job made me go back to that negative thinking pattern because it took me back in the past. It took me back in the past when he was a bartender, and it was just so frustrating. I had to retrain myself to say, if he is bartending again, there's a reason for it. That God has a divine plan that I clearly do not know. And there's a reason why he needs to be in the bartending position again in his life. There's a reason for it. So think about that for the week. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel below. Share this video with friends, family, and your dog. Please support me on Patreon. I don't get paid for these videos. You can contribute $1 a month, $5 a month, $20 a month, whatever the value of these videos are for you. And it's www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.